all places driving French cars. Jackie Stewart driving a Bose Field Farm Special. Bose cars previously won in 1931 with Louis Schneider, 1961 with A.J. Foyt.
Jackie Stewart of Scotland, later to become a three-time world driving champion, was leading on the 189th lap and appeared to be a sure winner. But nothing is certain until the checkered flag is waved, and Jackie felt the grasp of victory slip through his leather driving gloves. Our scorers Bill Fleetemeyer and Bill Lamb noted that Graham Hill had taken the lead and Ron Carroll had taken the mic.
Jackie Stewart apparently is out. He's going, the engine is cut clear on. He came by number 3. It is over in number 4 right now, coming to a stop and perhaps will be down on the grass. The engine was cut off and I think he's just coasting to a stop. Back to you, Sid.
In a last-minute takeover, Graham Hill edged out Jimmy Clark to become the first rookie since 1927 to win the Indianapolis 500.
Here he comes down the main stretch, and there's the checkered flag for Graham Hill, winner of the Golden Anniversary Indianapolis 500-mile race. Car number 24, the American Red Ball Special.
Jimmy Clark came in second. Jackie Stewart salvaged 6th, and Lou Palmer waited for Graham Hill in victory lane.
Graham, we congratulate you thoroughly. In London, they're able to hear you right now at this moment. What have you to say? You know, rookies don't win here.
Yeah, well, I'm rather surprised to have won, but naturally I'm very pleased to have done so.
Not a surprise, an excellent run, and a fine follow-up to that third at Monaco. Can we expect you back here at the 500?
Yes, I expect so if I get invited.
You know who was running number 2 when we finished this run today?
No, I've no idea.
Jimmy Clark, I believe, running second to you.
Well, I'm very impressed, and the car ran beautifully. I had a very steady run and pretty uneventful except for the mishaps earlier on.
This hustle-bustle on the first lap, how deeply involved in that were you?
Well, I didn't get involved, but I seemed to be in the middle of it. I was busy trying to avoid the cars and the wheels and the half shafts and various other bits that were flying around. I thought I was being bombed, in fact.
So you were truly in the center of this 10-car style up here?
Well, it appears so. I was very fortunate.
By 1967, the rear-engine revolution was complete. When Jack Brabham appeared at the Speedway in 1961 with his tiny Cooper Climax, it was considered a funny car. But the drivers had long since stopped laughing and had switched from their front-engine roadsters to the rear-end configuration. 32 of the starting cars were rear-engined in 1967. The exception was a revolutionary new turbine car, brought to the track by Andy Granatelli. Andy said his car, powered by a Pratt & Whitney aircraft turbine, could run on kerosene or perfume, as well as the normal fuel mixture. It sounded like this.
They check the fuel starter. They check the fuel on. Start it. Get hold of this. All right, good. All right, check the oil pressure. So check RPM coming up. Let the RPM stabilize. Count. 2, 3, 4, 5. Bingo. Oil pressure's up. What's 7 in the temperature coming up? 400, 500, 600.
That was the sound of the turbine experimental. What it does here today may have a great impact upon the future of auto racing.
Parnelli Jones, driving the turbine, led for 16 laps until rain forced postponement until the following day. On the second day, after a single-file restart, it was Jones again in the bright red number 40 turbine car, and he looked unbeatable. But with only 4 laps to go, Ron Carroll spotted Parnelli slowing down.
So watch Parnelli Jones now. Ron Carroll on the number 3 turn. Ronnie?
And Sid, I must report, Parnelli Jones is almost at a halt on turn number 4. He went by me clear under the white line, almost into the grass, and he's barely coasting around. Parnelli Jones in some kind of problem. Back to you, Sid.
And it was A.J. Foyt who threaded his way through a multi-car tangle on the last turn of his very last lap to take the checkered flag. Foyt became the 4th man to ever win the Memorial Day Classic 3 times. With his 1967 victory, he placed himself in a position to become the only active driver to win the big one 4 times. The turbine revolution was still underway, but the traditionalists fought against the turbine and felt the reciprocating engine should provide the only form of propulsion at the Speedway. In 1968, Joe Leonard drove a new rear-engine Lotus turbine wedge. Leonard captured the pole in record time. On race day, Joe Leonard and Bobby Unser were involved in a constant duel. But when the green flag was waved on the 191st lap, after a caution period, leader Joe Leonard pushed his foot to the floor and found no power. The turbine had flamed out. Mike Ahern was high above the #1 turn to report it to us.
We've got the glasses on him. He is just entering the #1 turn, right toward the end of the main straightaway, and they've got a crew of about a dozen people surrounding the car, number 60. Joe Leonard is still in the cockpit. What happened, we don't know. As soon as the green flag was waved, he slowed down, suddenly came along the track apron, and just stopped, just short of the infield grass. He's still in there. I don't know if they're going to try to push that car out or not. We've got the glasses fixed on him. Now they are pushing it. Now they're pushing it back into the infield grass. I think Joe Leonard's out of this race, Sid.
Bobby Unser took the lead and the white flag.
And here is the white flag, 1 lap to go. Let's follow Bobby Unser around Mike Ahern on turn #1.
He's coming at us right now, Sid. And what a picture of this thing as he passes the car of Joey Leonard being pushed toward the pit area. He's going the other way into turn 2 now at Howdy Bell.
And Bobby Unser took the checkered flag on his 6th Indy try. And he became the first member of the famous Racing Unser brothers to win at Indianapolis.
Bob, welcome to Victory Lane.
Well, thank you very much. I can't hardly hear, so I don't know if I'm talking too loud or not, but can't believe I'm here. Things looked real good, and then they looked pretty bad there today for a while.
I understand when you pulled out of the pit in your last stop, you seemed to be accelerating slower than in the previous two. Did you have any kind of problem?
Yes, my gear shift became disconnected, and I only had one gear. I had my high gear. And actually, with a turbocharged off, you can't hardly get the car moving that way. So I had to take off very slowly, and of course, it cost me an awful lot of precious time that I'd worked real hard to get.
Well, you worked hard getting it back up. Then we had fire on the backstretch. That was Carl Williams. Carl is all right. Did you have any trouble getting through there?
No, it was, I know I had a lot of warning, and it happened way down the straightaway. So we had absolutely no problem with it there.
Before the broadcast sign-off, we called in our colleague, our racing memory expert, Donald Davidson, who elaborated on other drivers who dropped out with victory in their apparent grasp.
Well, of course, we had Parnelli Jones last year. We've had Bill Vukovich back in 1952, was leading with 8 laps to go and dropped out. And then Eddie Sachs was leading the 1961 race with 3 laps to go and then had to come in and make a stop for a tire, but was able to finish second. And then, of course, the very famous one, possibly the most famous one of all, apart from last year, would be in 1912 when Ralph De Palma was leading in the 198th lap and had his car break down on the backstretch, and he and his mechanic Rupert Jeffkins got out and pushed the car around to complete the 199th lap. And the car ended up in 11th spot.
The turbines did not return to the Speedway in 1969, and Andy Granatelli told us why.
Well, I think I can summarize the turbine controversy that took place for 2 raging years, shall we say, 1967-68, by saying that for years I believe I was known as an innovator at Indianapolis for the different cars I brought through the years, including the fabulous Novis. And each year when I'd unload my cars, everybody would come rushing out to see what I had that was new. And I believe that one time I was the most liked person in Castellan Alley. I know that I had the unique privilege of going into anybody's garage, and that everybody felt that they'd like to see me win the race since I've been trying a number of years. And but I'll never forget that when we unveiled the turbine car, it was built and finished in March of '67, which was built in complete secrecy. It took us almost 3 years to build and over $1 million. That the car was criticized on a national basis by people that never even had a look at the car, hadn't even seen the pictures. Just the word of mouth got around that the car would be impossible to beat, even with a piston engine in it. And of course it's history now, but everything about the car was ultimately banned.
Granatelli was still determined to win the 500. He entered 11 cars in '69. Mario Andretti, in one of these, was the fastest man each day. But several days before the race, he was involved in a spectacular one-car crash. When it was determined that a faulty wheel hub had caused the accident, Colin Chapman withdrew his entire Lotus team. Andretti went on to qualify his backup car in the middle of the front row. Dramatically, Andretti led the second half of the race and went on to win. Mario talked with us in Victory Lane.
Well,
I can say, our prayers and a lot of our friends' prayers were answered finally today. The car just ran perfectly. We had a little problem with heating at first, but I just paced myself as much as I could, and it paid off, I guess.
And Granatelli was also overjoyed in Victory Lane.
Fantastic. Now I am Mr. 500. It was fantastic. What a driver.
1970 was the year of the first $1 million purse. Al Unser was on the pole. Johnny Rutherford next to him, 1/100th of a second slower. Rutherford was first into turn 1, but Unser took over and led for 190 out of the 200 laps. Lloyd Ruby, the perennial hard luck driver, came all the way from a 25th starting position to take the lead briefly on the 50th lap, only to be black flagged off the course. Mike Ahern was there.
Yes, Sid, right in front of me here, Lloyd Ruby's car, the rear end of that car, burst into flames. He trailed about a 5-foot trail of flame through the short chute into turn 2. Now, Howdy Bell might have a better view of Lloyd Ruby right now, but Lloyd's car caught fire right in front of me. Howdy, do you have it?
Yes, it was burning out the rear end of the car. He should be up around Doug Zink in the backstretch, Doug. Yes, he is, and he's just going by us now. There is a fire in the rear end of that automobile. He's moving slowly up toward turn number 3, and I'm not sure that Lloyd is entirely aware of the situation.
But the fire was extinguished, and Lloyd Ruby was okay. It was Al Unser who received the checkered flag in 1970, and Lou Palmer, along with Mom Unser, waited for the second Unser brother to enter Victory Lane.
We had that terrible delay, the rain. What does that do to you?
Well, it really works on a guy's nerves quite badly. It really makes you feel like that nothing's going right, but it turned around and everything worked out real good, so we're happy.
And then toward the end, we had the trouble at the north. Did you get into any involvement there, or was it close for you?
A little bit. When the oil was spilled all over the racetrack, well, it came close.
Mark Donohue finished second. The multi-talented Dan Gurney was third and retired from racing as a driver. Dan continued to build his Eagle cars, which were prominent in the starting fields at Indy for the next several years. With the first appearance of the winged race car in 1971, Indy fans saw speeds increase remarkably. Handsome Peter Revson, who had come to the Speedway as a rookie in 1969, edged out Mark Donohue to win the pole with a record speed of over 178 miles an hour. During the parade lap, Peter described in a pre-recorded interview what his strategy would be when the green flag fell.
Well, I'll be thinking about the first turn, of course, after the green flag drops. And in preparation for it, I'll try to build up a little heat in the tires by snaking the car a little bit, and I'll try to build up heat in the brakes by holding them as I go around the pace lap. And I'll try to assume the most comfortable attitude in the car and just look at the gauges and make sure everything is showing what they should show. And of course, I'll be thinking about Bobby Unser and Mark Donohue alongside of me with the same idea of getting into the turn first.
The race had barely gotten underway when there was an accident, and Juan Carroll, leaning out over the number 3 turn, was right on top of it.
We've had a spin back here, Sid, and about 3 cars spun around. One car is on the wall. It is car number 23, that driven by Mel Kenyon, the Sprite car. I have my glasses on him, and I believe Mel is just about to get out of the car. We have had about 3 cars. Now we've got a third end of the wall. Has crashed. 2 more have crashed. 2 more have crashed into Mel Kenyon trying to get by. One is one of the SDP cars. I cannot see it. Another car is spinning now. Car number 32. That's Billy Vukovic. Drivers appear to be out of the car quite well. They have not slowed down quite enough to get through the wreckage.
Mark Donohue was a strong favorite to win the race in his Roger Penske McLaren. But Mark's sudden retirement on the 66th lap gave Al Unser the chance to take the checkered flag for the 2nd year in a row, becoming the first man to accomplish that feat since Bill Vukovic. It was also Al's 32nd birthday.
And here is Pat Madan waving the checkered flag for Al Unser, winner of the 1971 Indianapolis 500-mile race. Picking him up again, Mike Ahern.
All right, Sid, and now he has a chance to get that hand in the air and wave to the crowd. A white glove goes up next to that gleaming red helmet, waving to the crowd as he goes into turn 2. A very happy Al Unser. Howdy?
Yeah, here he comes, a happy guy indeed. We see that white gloved hand also up there in the air as he's giving everyone a wave as he goes by. Don, he'll wave at you too.
Indeed he will, Howdy, and we've got him. He's running low against the inside part of the track as he's slowed down here on the backstretch. Indeed, he is waving to everybody as he goes by.
The big news in 1972 was Bobby Unser's blistering, pole-winning, four-lap qualifying speed of almost 196, which eclipsed Peter Revson's mark by 17 miles an hour. Al Unser had a good chance to become the first man to win 3 straight.